Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this podcast, we are going to have a view about Agaricus muscarius according to Allen's keynotes. So let's get started. Coming to the constitution, it's suitable in persons with light hair, skin and muscles lax. Coming to the mind, there is delirium with constant raving, tries to get out of bed in typhoid or typhus. So in typhoid, which is an infection wherein there is involvement of the whole circulation secondary to this intestinal involvement. The person, when it is continued to, there is overall sepsis. The whole circulation is loaded with the disease causing bacteria. So there is the circulation is will come down, and there is also involvement of the brain wherein the consciousness, the will, the judgment, the every mental faculty gets to deteriorate in very much advanced cases. In such cases there is delirium wherein the patient is not aware of what's exactly happening and is not aware of the acts he's doing. So in such scenarios where the patient tries to get out of bed, in especially typhoid or typhus, you can think of agaricus for better results. And coming to the generalities, wherein it is very much suitable for old people with weak and indolent circulation. So agaricus seems to have a very good effect on the circulation, as it's already seen, as we have already understood and interpreted it in its usage in typhoid, and also in the old people it's useful it's useful in cases with weak and indolent circulation, and also it's useful in drunkards, especially for their headaches after, the bad effects after a debauch. So debauch is a term used to combine the acts such as indiscriminate involvement in sexual acts, and excessive, it can be taken as excessive sexual acts, and also excessive usage of alcohol and indiscriminate usage of alcohol without any start or stop. After such you'll be having, if the patient has a headache, you can think of agaricus. Uncertainty in walking, stumbles over everything in the way, feels as if beaten when standing. So there is marked difficulty in walking, and the involvement of the lower limbs secondary to the CNS involvement, that is very important in agaricus. It's not due to the local musculature involvement or the defect in the musculature, it's definitely secondary to the central nervous system, which results in the loss of balance, and the gait is also disturbed, and they are not sure of where they are walking or where the step is going for. So yeah, that is the important point. Coming to the next point, there is nervous prostration after sexual debauches. As I already said, this seems to be a very important ailment, which causes wherein the symptoms are caused after involvement in sexual debauches. Agaricus seems to act very well. So have a good sight of this remedy in your mind, because nowadays it's being increased due to the increased social networking or social culture, wherein the live-in relationships and the prohibitions have been brought down a lot, wherein the people are involving in many things wherein they don't think, without any second thought, without any value based relationships, and keeping aside values and morals. India is the top country with patients suffering with AIDS. So we can think of this remedy very commonly, wherein there is indiscriminate involvement of a person in illegal relationships as such. And coming to the next point, they are extremely sensitive to cold air, which is very important point to be remembered, and thermal modality. And complaints appear diagonally, that is upper left and lower right side, which is commonly seen, and that's given under generality, so it's a verified symptom and very commonly seen. If a person comes with upper left arm pain and right knee joint pain, you can think of, I'm just giving an example, you can think of usage of agaricus muscarius in such case. And coming to the head, there are headaches of those who readily become delirious in fever or with pain. As I already said, delirium is a state of altered consciousness where the patient is not aware exactly what's happening. There is decreased sense of present, and they are less lost, but it's like half awake state where they can move their body, consciousness is there, but to not such an extent where they are soundly aware of what's exactly happening in their surroundings. So that's delirious, and it is suitable in persons who readily become delirious, and of persons subject to chorea, twitchings or grimaces from spinal affections. As I already said, there is CNS involvement and also spinal involvement. So CNS involvement may be the reason for the continuous affinity to become delirious, and the twitchings, grimaces, which means making up of some sort of faces on the faces, means like it's the layman term, but actually what does it means there is twitchings of the facial muscles which gives different sort of facial expressions, but that sort of facial expressions are out of patient's control. It is coming involuntarily. So in such grimaces and chorea and twitchings and secondary to spinal affections, you can think of agaricus. Coming to the CNS, involuntary movements while awake and they cease during sleep, chorea from simple motions and jerks of single muscles to dancing of whole body, trembling of whole body, that is seen in agaricus. You can see this involvement definitely secondary to the CNS. I can give some examples like Parkinsonism, Huntington's chorea, and these are some sort of affection secondary to the brain involvement, substantia nigra and amygdala and etc. So there's trembling of whole body, and there are also there is also tremors in drunkards. You can see when they flapping tremors, when they widespread their hands, you can see there are tremors in their fingers. So you can interpret in such a way so that you can use agaricus in drunkards who have developed tremors too. And coming to the next point, spinal irritation due to sexual excesses. So sexual excess seems to be a triggering point and the deciding point for the usage of agaricus. So have it in mind, it's a very important point. Epilepsy from suppressed eruptions, that's a very important point again. This is seemed to be epilepsy as CNS is involvement. These are various affections involving CNS, and especially suppressed eruptions, sorry. And there is uncertainty in walking and stumbling gait, and as we have heard in as we have learnt in the generalities that there is uncertainty in walking. They're not sure where they are walking because of the secondary to CNS involvement, not due to the local muscular affections. So have that in mind. And coming to the female reproductive system, prolapses, post-climacteric, bearing down pain, almost intolerable. And those are some common symptoms involving female reproductive system. Coming to the back, the spine is sensitive to touch, worse mornings, and pain is sore, aching in lumbar and sacral regions during exertion in daytime while sitting. So backache secondary to the spinal involvement, and local spinal involvement, especially sacrum and lumbar regions, and during exertion in daytime you can think of agaricus. And every motion, every turn of body causes pain in the spine, and the single vertebrae are sensitive to touch. So these are very prominent symptoms wherein the patient complained even pain when you just touch the vertebra. That's a very prominent symptom, and these are very much rare to find as such in clinical practice, but when found, agaricus is your remedy. And coming to the skin, chilblains that itch and burn intolerably, the frostbite and all consequences of exposure to cold, especially in the face. And when you are continuously exposed to cold, your face become like sometimes it becomes like numb. You can't feel anything on your face, even your finger, when you touch with your finger. That is the beginning stage, but if it continues to the next level, there is chilblain, that is called as frostbite, that is the damage of the skin and the underneath the fascia due to the excessive exposure to the cold. There is like cessation of the blood supply over there, and which burn very much intolerably. And frostbite, especially in face after exposure to the cold climate. You can see this in persons who are not accustomed easily to the cold climates. When they go out in the cold, they suddenly face starts and all the body parts starts to burn. In such cases, you can think of agaricus and carry with you agaricus if you are for like traveling to very cold and chilly places where you're not sure your skin will be able to tolerate the cold temperatures over there. That's just a tip. And coming to the next point, sensation as if ice touched or ice cold needles were piercing the skin as from hot needles. So the affections are due to the cold itself, but the burning is just very much hot, as if hot needles are pierced into the skin. Just imagine how painful that could be. That is a pain agaricus patients experience. That means that is a pain you can relieve using agaricus. That's the magic you can think of homeopathy doing in such cases. Coming to the next point, there is burning, itching, redness of various parts: ears, nose, face, hands, and feet. Parts red, swollen, and hot as well. So yeah, all sort of skin conditions due to the excessive chill as well, but which seems to be externally caused due to the heat thing, because they are hot to touch, they are red and swollen, and all sorts of burning, itching, everything is there. And coming to the aggravation, it is after eating, after coitus, cold air exposure, mental application before a thunderstorm. That is a very important symptom. And yeah, that's it. That's about agaricus, and I'll be dealing in the next podcast regarding the relations given in this remedy under agaricus in Allen's keynotes. That's a different podcast I'm going to do. So keep listening to this space for more info. And hope this podcast was helpful in understanding this remedy a bit better. And thanks a lot for listening to this podcast. Have a great day. Bye.